Today is Tuesday, August 16th, and you're listening to the Beer Temple Podcast.
Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again. Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again.
Hello, welcome to the Beer Temple Podcast. I'm your co-host, Mike Shallau from Is Was Brewing. I'm sitting here with your other co-host, Chris Quinn from the Beer Temple. Chris,
Perfectly stated. Thank you.
how you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Terribly.
I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
I'm doing okay.
Good.
Doing okay.
Good.
Could be doing a lot worse, that's for sure.
Sure.
But how about you? How are you?
I'm great.
Good.
I'm doing great. Yeah, my parents were in town this weekend.
Nice.
Went to Hopleaf. They loved it.
Oh, cool. Did you go to any brewery tap rooms
We did.
in the
actually.
nearby area?
We did, actually.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good to hear that.
Yeah, we did.
Nice.
More as a scouting expedition than anything else. But
Like the future. Like this is what it will all be someday, Dad.
yeah, we'll get rid of this. Anyway.
It was like Christmas Carol. the beer of the past,
Breweries of
Christmas past,
future. Yeah.
present, and then future.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
I was, it was a crazy weekend. I was in Asheville on Friday, drove Asheville to Indy. No, I was in Asheville Thursday, Asheville to Indy, Friday, and then on Saturday I woke up in Indy, drove to Chicago, dropped off the fam, and immediately went up to Madison. And
Also doesn't stop for you, huh?
yeah, drove back that night too.
Perfect.
Because I was like, I don't feel like nothing good is going to happen
If you stay.
if I stay here.
Yeah, I mean, you've never had any weird experiences in Madison at the Great Taste or anything.
Not in 2022.
That's right. There you go.
Yeah.
Did you? I heard you saw a silent celebrity up there.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I saw a certain Fade Master, and I saw Ms. Fade Master. I met Ms. Fade Master. They're
Wow.
lovely.
An honor.
Yeah, lovely. And some of his faded friends. And
Faded friends.
Yeah, had a good time. Like within being there for like 5 minutes.
That's what he was saying. There's
Yeah.
like 1,000 people here, but somehow Chris found me within the first 5 minutes and
Yeah.
just walked up to me.
Wearing Is Was.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
right. Representing.
Yep. Which was cool. I almost I had to change I only own 2 types of shirts: brewery shirts and Dude podcast shirts. So I was
cool.
wearing, and I know, so cool. So I was wearing. I try not to wear a brewery shirt too.
So you had to wear an Dude shirt.
So I wore an Dude shirt. I changed it in the parking lot.
Oh, wow.
I thought was what I was going to wear the next day,
Yeah.
in case I stayed.
Right.
And I quickly did a quick change, put on an Dude tie-dye.
Nice.
Yep. And
It's a nice little Easter egg for later in the show when we introduce the guests.
Yeah. And then had a good old time. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
And then came home, and then the following day got in a horrific car accident, which is, I guess, technically today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, early today.
Yeah, so I feel like crap. I'm probably not going to be here for the whole show. I promised my
I
wife
said
I'd
you
leave
didn't have
early.
to come, and you were like,
I know.
"Oh, my wife would like that. I'll be there."
And then I, as soon as I said that, I said, all right, how about a compromise? That's what I said. And
Mike
I said,
can't steer this ship on his own.
well, I just thought
No,
that
you just don't trust me. I understand.
it's true. It's true. But anyway, but you pulled together an all-star cast.
That's right. I
Bunch of
texted
guys being dudes tonight.
a bunch of guys being dudes.
Yeah.
So it's a couple dudes. They're going to be guys.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah. All right.
What's better than this?
Are we doing seniority things, or are they?
I think so.
Okay. Probably.
Your brother
my
in dust.
arms. Yeah.
Your brother in dust.
We got Eric Kapraun of Phase 3 Brewery also playing injured today.
Yeah.
That's correct. Also, Steak Industries.
Steak Industries, right.
Yep, thank you. Yeah. How's it going, guys? It's great to be here.
Good. Do you want to tell people about last time we hung out?
Yeah, I'd love to. There's a brewery on Lincoln Avenue. Tap room opening date,
TBD.
TBD.
BD.
May or may not have completed their first brew day recently, and was playing softball at nearby Wells Park. One of my sponsors of the league, a friend from Hot Butcher, came by to check out the team after the game with Mike and
See if his money was being well spent.
That's right.
yeah, and we had
Trying to apply analytics to the 6-game softball.
and we had just come off our first loss, and unbeknownst to me was that during the game I had fractured my finger.
It wasn't unbeknownst to you. You kind of knew, but you also
Was
love
that
those
from just-
post-game hangs.
In my mind, it's from just giving double birds so hard
Yeah.
to the ump after something that he
Strained his
just
finger.
literally snaps one of them.
Yeah.
Because he
It's
gives
fiery.
just gives the bird so hard. Is that what happened?
Similar,
Yeah.
close. Yeah,
Might as well be what happened.
Yeah. But I threw some tape on it. I kept playing like a
Rub some dirt on it, threw
like
some
a
tape
very
on it.
smart adult
Uh-huh.
that's nearing 40, yeah. Had a great time hanging out with Mike, and then found out the next day it was a little more serious and had to get surgery and all that. So
That sucks, man.
both coming off some bumps in the road, it's fair to say.
Literally for me.
But I'm glad you're okay, Chris.
I'm glad you're okay.
Thanks. Yeah, thankfully Mike was there to give me a ride home that night because
right.
there's no way I was going to be able to ride a bike.
Oh,
Which should
right.
have been my first indication that like there was something serious.
You were
wrong with
gonna
me.
ride your bike too. I was just
Yeah.
being nice. I didn't even think that
Thank
you
God.
were. Yeah.
Thank God. It would have made things so much worse.
Chris might have hit you on in his car.
No.
Maybe too soon.
I was hit. I was
Maybe
hit.
too
I didn't hit
Maybe
anybody.
you might have hit Chris then. Sorry.
I got smashed.
We got to hang out at the Wild Goose, old haunt of mine.
It's
and-
crazy that they build those canning lines in the back of that bar.
I know, and it doesn't
Yeah.
seem like that large of a space too, but they
Great,
just
great
somehow
chicken wings and canning line manufacturing happening at
Exactly.
the Wild Goose.
That's
Exactly.
great. When was this?
A Thursday, like 2 weeks ago, maybe?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
We didn't-
Hey guys,
didn't
I'm like a
invite you,
block away
yeah.
from there. Next time you're there,
Yeah,
you
no,
know.
we know. It's
Yeah. Yeah. If you ever need me to like, you know,
No, it was like a last
deliver
minute,
some.
It was a last minute thing we had planned for 2 weeks.
Pick
so.
up something. Pick up something for you. Drop it off and leave. Maybe just leave it at the
I don't know
door
if
and
you're
walk
the
away.
courier we want.
Yeah.
Given your driving record at this point.
It's true. It's true.
I'm sorry.
Don't joke.
I'm sorry.
One, it's painful to laugh because I have a dislocated sternum.
Why are you?
And two, it was a brand new car with 4,000 miles on it, and it was smushed.
Well, you should probably get a new brand.
Well, at least
new
it got
car,
to
right?
go.
I waited 10 months for that stupid car.
It got to go to both the Great Taste and Asheville,
Yes.
right? So
Yeah.
got a little
Thank
bit of
you,
credit
Eric.
on
So
it.
that's like 1,000 of the miles.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just this one trip you made, a quarter of the miles from the last weekend.
It was in the van. No, but almost all of those I drove to New Orleans and back in it. So, I mean, that and Madison is probably over half of all the miles I've ever put on the car.
Amazing.
And,
Yeah, I mean, how long is Interstate 55? You saw all of it.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. That's a fun. Well, it's an interesting ride.
I've done it.
I want to say while I'm here and we're talking about steak industries,
The best tie-dye in the game.
I own. So I take it back. I own 3 types of shirts. I own Yeah Dude, brewery, and steak industry shirts. And I'm starting to get too much steak industry where I've
going full
had to
Edmar.
get rid of some because I look like Edmar. Yeah. But there is one. I was wearing one today. And I had to go to the hospital. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to wear this.
They're like, can you take that shirt off? And Chris is like, no, just cut it off. It's fine. I can get another one.
Exactly. The Grateful Dead one.
Oh, yeah, that one's
I
awesome.
get compliments almost every time I wear it.
Love that
So
one.
Almost every
there you
time.
go.
Love that one.
Yep, there you go.
shout out to Swamp Goods. Made the shirt that I dyed over. So
Cool.
great Instagram.
Big fans of the show, Swamp Goods.
I know.
Yeah.
Ran into them at the Dead and Company show at Deer Creek, actually.
Nice.
It's really serendipitous
Nice.
the way that all worked out.
Good lot scene.
Very good lot scene, yeah. Yeah, there was a lot scene up in Wisconsin during the fish. I don't know how they always do fish at Alpine the same weekend as A Great Taste, but they seem to do that pretty often.
Not a joke. My wife got us it's not a joke that I'm saying it, but it was kind of a joke. Tickets at Ravinia to see Pitbull. I'm buying a shirt.
Mr. Worldwide.
Yeah, I'm going to see Mr. Worldwide, and I'm buying the tour shirt.
You're
I'm
gonna
probably
come
going to spend
back-
$75.
You're going to come back and you'll be like, you know what? He's a great performer. I can see he's really electric.
I can't wait.
Yeah,
I want to
really
see the
energized
crowd, and we're thinking about doing a drinking game, if it doesn't kill us, where we drink every time he goes, woo!
You'll die. So I have a friend from growing up who was Mark Anthony's personal assistant for about 5 years. And so I went to a Mark Anthony concert at United Center, like backstage, and it was one of the most electric experiences of my life. That man is a performer. The first song was in English, and the rest of them were all in Spanish, and I didn't understand a word of it. But that guy, the crowd was electric.
Really?
Yeah, everyone was psyched. I saw Starling Castro as the shortstop for the Cubs at the time, going in the show with a woman with a Kardashian level booty. And I was like, "What is going on over there?" Yeah, but a crazy show.
I'm trying to convince
People were psyched. Full band, like 20-piece band.
Oh, that's a full band.
Yeah. Like, full brass section, 3 guitarists. It was great.
I'm trying to convince
So that'll be
Charlie
you.
to go
Charlie would love it.
as Pitbull for Halloween.
Does he know
we'll
who
see.
he is currently?
Yeah, he knows who he
Okay.
is. Katie is
Because
a
of
fan
Sprite
of
commercials.
Pitbull.
Oh, she is.
Yeah, because of the certain. It comes up on one of these Pandora stations, and she likes them. And then some of them were like, "You can't listen to this one. You can't listen to this one. You're not allowed to listen to this one."
Got it.
Yeah. So yeah, she used to say that Pitbull was her favorite musician. Big Sean
do a lot
is
of people.
Charlie's.
Big Sean. So they've elevated from JoJo Siwa.
Yes, they have.
I don't even know if I know a Big Sean
I don't know who it is.
song.
I don't know who it is, but that's who my son says is his favorite.
He probably has better taste than us, so.
Maybe. I don't know. We have another guest
I was going to ask
who's
who's
been
opening for
completely silent. What if we never
Pitbull. The whole
introduced
show.
one of the
we
guests?
just talked about Pitbull and never introduced the man with the hottest takes in the game.
Piping hot.
3 eyes.
All of them. Yeah.
I guess 6 eyes. Do you
Yeah,
have,
the
do you have
third.
glasses for the...
Yeah. Does the third eye have glasses? A monocle?
They are Google glasses, so they are technically
so-
9 eyes.
Oh,
They have
wow.
Digital eyes as well that beam straight into a feed on Twitch, so everything is being broadcasted live.
I was going to say beam straight into the future
Oh, yeah,
where you
yeah.
get all your takes.
Yeah. Ooh.
Ooh.
No, I can't give my tags up to anybody, not even the future. Okay, Chris.
Okay.
It's Jake Guidry. How
Hey,
you
what's
doing,
up?
Jake?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Hopewell Brewing.
Yes.
What accident have you been in?
None. But Chris, I gotta admire you. You're the Cal Ripken of podcasting. You will not miss
Right.
a show for anything. This
That's
guy
right.
is the
That's
iron
right.
horse out here in the mix. Love to see it. Appreciate the dedication. But I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to talk. What we're gonna talk.
Chop it up.
Chop it up.
Yeah. Has anyone had any beers that they've enjoyed lately? I've had a couple.
Go for it.
Okay. I've had a few.
I want your top 30 from the taste. Let's go.
Okay. Top one. Well, okay. I'll start with my biggest disappointment. No Drippa. They didn't have Drippa. They had like grapefruit Drippa or something, or citrus Drippa. It was like Crippa.
They've sold out.
I was like,
Coonan?
no,
Is this
that's
Coonan or
not-
something?
yeah, Coonan.
I'm gonna be there next month in
Nice.
Michigan. So you recommend
Bring
me?
some Drippa.
Yeah,
back.
I recommend going to that tap room.
Yes.
It's the one of one
yes.
experience.
Yes.
I love it so much.
I do too.
It's got.
I'm
It's,
actually going
it's
to
got,
Were you there?
soon,
There was like a
too.
potluck, like a chili potluck when you were there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yep,
Love
they-
it. That's all I need to hear is a chili potluck going on.
They
at the
don't have a
temple.
kitchen. They almost always have some sort of food from something, whether it's like patrons or they
Sure.
like. I don't know. It's great. And then they've got you like mead. They got you. Wine. They got you. Beer. Obviously, they got you.
Bizarre, like interior brick. They gotcha.
Yep.
It
No wall between like the brew house and the bar. Really.
They
Like,
gotcha.
It looks like exactly what it is, which is an old hardware store that got a little side hustle of homebrew
Yep.
that expanded into a brewery and a tap room. It's exactly what it feels like an
American-
Ace Hardware.
The American Dream from 2009.
Yeah, it feels like an Ace Hardware that was just like, let's just make this part the bar.
Do they still have like different fasteners and things on the wall?
I don't think they do. Their bar is also like a horseshoe, and it's like the interior of the bar is like 20 feet wide.
It's a lot of space behind the bar.
Huge. It's huge. So if you're somebody's on the other side of the bar, they are way far away.
And if you like order the draft that's on the other side, you get kind of a dirty look from. It's like I gotta walk all the way back over there to get your black lager, you jerk, which is fair. But it's I highly recommend going. there.
I plan to go over there.
Highly,
yeah.
highly
Are
recommend.
they still doing the ice box? I know that was like a big thing
Oh, I'm
back in
sure
the
Yeah,
day.
they have them. I think you can just buy them when you're there. I think
Okay.
they're. I mean, they're like kind of pricey, but
Yeah.
you know, if that's what you're into.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you don't see many breweries doing those styles these days.
Because
so.
legally, you really can't.
Well, yeah, we don't need to talk about that.
I bought a barley wine just because I was like, yeah, I need like a souvenir to go. I brought him some beer, so they like hooked it up. I was like, I need some to go beer, so I just bought like a barley wine. It was from like 2019. It was like stored warm. I was like, this,
18%.
yeah, it tasted so gnarly, just like oxidized hop weirdness. But
Definitely go. Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna be there.
I mean, just have a DD because they
Yeah,
are
big beers, right? Yeah.
Oh my
Almost only
gosh!
big beers.
Almost. Oh, they have a wit. Cool. Oh, it's 10%. Awesome.
yeah.
Like for real.
yeah.
So, your favorite
Yeah.
So no
They
drip
went
at the taste.
No
9.5%
drippa.
mild.
So that was my biggest disappointment.
Sure.
Most drank beer. Duh. Headhunter. Drank that the most.
Was it good?
It was awesome. You know what though? I will say that some of the cans we've had here tasted better than the draft that they had there. It was almost like too fresh. I think it needed maybe like a week. I'm not kidding. You know how sometimes like a week after it kind of hits that sweet spot for
Sure.
real, or 2 weeks maybe.
Sure.
Yeah. So
Did they bring Benjamin Danklin?
they
my number
they
one
might
favorite
have.
beer name
They
of
might
all time.
have. They might have.
It's the freest,
brought it.
most dank beer.
Yeah, it's true. They had the literal cutout that you brought here, like the exact same one was there.
I like the placement you've given it in the window.
Somebody came up to me and said that they had a was beer. Levain was, I guess, being poured
So
there.
we weren't there as a brewery, but Garrett from Pipeworks offered
Was
to
illegally-
pour our beers on the side of their booth. So they had Bourgeois Daydreams in Levain.
That's cool. So yeah, somebody came up and
Then we had
was talking you up and called Doug Valicki a legend.
Oh, so this guy's great.
He's like, that
great
guy's a
judgment,
legend.
realistic.
I was like, I'm telling him you said that. He's like, you should. He is one. I was like, all right, I can't wait to
didn't think
tell him
my
that.
dad was at Great Taste. So
Right.
I thought he was at Hop Leaf.
he wasn't out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I had the most of. The most, for me, the Cold Hearted of this year, which was last year. You know how
Yeah.
Cold Hearted just like slapped.
Yeah. It was the show stealer last
It
year.
was. This year, Thiolized Lager was the one that I was like, whoa. Like, I don't know if it was the show stealer, like, oh my gosh, I want to drink it all the time, but it was like Surly, Omega Yeast, and Three Sheeps did this collab with this thiolized yeast, which I didn't know what thiols were. And then Chris Jecka of Surly was like, well, there's the brewer, and he explained them to me, and I guess it's this expression. It's like on the other side of like esters and phenols. It's like a very different type of flavor that comes out and is made in a very different way by yeast. And I guess they've genetically altered these yeasts so they can allow them to, I don't know, come to the surface more or something like that from the malts, I think. And I don't know. It was very
malt
confusing.
Is the biggest precursor for it that I'm aware of. But
so it tasted like a
what's big in Sauvignon Blanc is like
a Lupo Pills is what it tasted like, frankly.
You mean a Lupo Lager?
A Lupo
Chris?
Lager, yeah. It tasted like a Lupo Lager to
it's
me.
not a car accident.
Yeah. No, but it was like so fruity. And
yeah, they're like it's
Sauvignon Blanc and peach.
It's all like that
pineapple,
that phantasm, like that, which is like dehydrated or something like that, maybe freeze dried. Sauvignon Blanc skins that people have been using to get that thiol, like Southern Hemisphere flavor.
Got it.
Half Acre actually did it last year, I believe.
The thiolaz.
Yeah, they did
yeast.
Fader. They did the Fader base, but then
Thader.
yeah, but they fermented it with this stylized yeast. But I know there's been a lot of trials and like a lot of work with the Omega, like trying to figure out the best way to kind of utilize it. There's a lot of research that needs to be done about it, but it sounds like it can be very.
So this is essentially like a Helles with this yeast.
Sure, yeah.
And it tasted like, like a hopped up lager. It was. It was weird. Like
Well,
it
it's
was
one of those
definitely the
things,
thing that I wanted to try again, but
As far as where those like yeasts are at now, less is way more for hopping. So like if you hop it like an IPA, you end up it just tastes like a traditional IPA. But if you under hop it by normal standards, you end up creating way more thiols, supposedly, or you can sense that you made them. But we should have someone from Omega on to talk about that type of stuff. They're doing some crazy stuff with CRISPR and gene editing of those yeasts.
Yeah,
and they're local, so.
Yes, we definitely should. I think Laura from Omega, who's been on the show, is the one who kind of created this yeast in her little monster lab. So that was, I think, a standout. There was a garlic lager. I'm sorry, a garlic stout, which I smelled but did not taste.
Who made that?
I forget.
Wasn't it Hopping Frog?
No, Hopping Frog was there.
Yeah.
Went there.
New branding?
I think they were pouring entirely out of cans.
Okay.
At least when I was there, they were pouring entirely out of cans. Went up to try to get something from them, but decided to pass on all the offerings.
Was anything under 15.5% alcohol?
I don't think so. I think they had grapefruit gangster frog, which was the one I considered getting, but I just wanted the regular old gangster frog, frankly. So out of a tall boy,
What are you all laughing about?
They were pouring it
So
out
funny.
of a tall boy, or maybe that was just how they had them set up. Like they had cans of all of them to show that they were cans.
Yeah. That could be possible.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It seems so much easier to just be pouring them out of a keg, but who knows, man.
I would just prefer they pour them out of a bomber bottle, personally.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. According to their website, it is still available in bombers, but I don't know. That can't be true.
I feel like they'll fill one if you want it.
It's true. Exactly.
They still got the labels, I'm sure.
Yeah. So they were there. Shout out to Fair State and Phil Cool. They helped me. They gave me a ticket, so thank
Nice.
you to them. And they had a pretty
sounds
awesome
kind of
booth.
like quid
Paid
pro
it.
quo to me.
Whoa, yeah.
You
Well,
don't have any events coming up with them, do you?
I do have one coming up. I won't talk about it. I mean,
Yeah,
I
that's a
will
big thing
say.
we forget on this show is that we have an event coming up on Thursday with with Sacred Agave and Iswas, and we have mentioned it one time on the last episode.
Yes.
At the end of the show. So
Well, we'll mention that in a moment.
yeah, this will come out before then.
And this is coming out the day after. Yes. Oh, yes. It will.
Yeah.
It will. It will. It'll probably come out day of. It'll be. No,
So if you're there, we'll be here.
yeah. But it was great.
Drinking
Did you have
mezcal.
any beer from Fair State?
I did.
We went up there during CBC, and I was just floored with. They had like a little table saison that was dope. Their pale ale was great. I think for me, when I go to a spot and they've got a good pale ale, that's all I need. And I think Fair State was flying under the radar for me, and they think they do a really cool job. And I'm excited they're launching in Chicago.
Yep. We're getting a couple of their lagers, getting to start a couple IPAs. We're not getting the pale ale, sadly, but
I will not be here. Thank you.
Yeah.
Heads up.
So there you go. So that should be good. No, they did have a legit cool booth. They had like one of those like 70s vans that was like all tricked out and everything. Like almost looked like an A-Team van, but it had like flames on it and everything. And then it had taps, but it was also the back of it was all just cold storage and just had taps out the side of it, which is pretty cool. And then it just like drove away at the end. So it was an actual working van with like 8 taps off the
how
side.
else would they get it there? Just tow it?
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
Probably cheaper to get it working.
probably. It was old though. I mean, it was like a carbureted old van. So I can only imagine how difficult. It wasn't smashed though, and it worked. So that's a
Better than your
one up
car.
on mine.
Yeah.
But it was great. Had a wonderful time. Just went there, and then went out and got some food afterwards, and just waited a little bit, let everything get out of my system, and then drove home. And it was good. Sometimes I just need to do it like that, especially if I had started out the day in Indianapolis.
Great taste can get away from you pretty quickly if you don't keep yourself together. So
Yeah, or if you're just like, people offer you things and you just imbibe them, it can get away
not
from you.
knowing what's in the brownie.
Or in the Poron.
Oh yeah, the sake.
Either way, either way.
You've been accidentally dosed a couple times.
A couple times. Yeah, by people.
With alcohol.
By beer reps who I considered friends at the time.
And still do very closely.
Mm-hmm,
Anyway, Eric, have you had any beers you've liked recently?
I forgot all about that, Chris. I'm still so sorry.
Definitely the highest I've ever been by several,
Whatever metric.
whatever metric.
Kindnesses.
Several, multipliers.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to talk I feel like this is insider baseball talk, but I was so not that close with Chris at that point in time, and had no idea the potency of this brownie that I'd given him.
That I ate 9 servings of.
Yeah, he ate so much, and before it just turned.
It's the first time I'd ever been given a brownie, so I took a brownie and I ate it.
And
that's half on you.
I woke up.
He's like, "Do you want a brownie?" And there was a whole tray of them. I picked up a brownie and I ate it. That doesn't seem like it.
So at that point in time, Chris was just an account, not just an account to me, but Chris was someone who was really important to buy beer from us. Was
really coming out now.
One of the only people that could ship our beer at the time, and I was really just wanting Chris to like me. Still do to an extent.
To an extent, yeah.
But I just woke up in the morning. I can't swear, right?
You can.
I just have a text in all caps from Chris that said, "What the fuck did you do to me?" And I was like, "Oh no!" And he's like, "I'm so messed up." And I was like, "Oh my god, they're never gonna buy our beer again. We're totally screwed."
Yeah.
You drove home that night too?
No way.
Come on.
No way.
I couldn't. I got lost walking back to the hotel.
I got lost.
I remember you tell us
Walking-
you came to walking on railroad tracks. I don't know where there are railroad tracks up there, but
I got lost
true.
walking in a square in Madison around the Capitol. It
Yeah.
goes in one or two directions.
I've been there.
So I still I'm really sorry. I never
okay.
meant to.
No, it's all right. And then I just found my way back to the Airbnb and just woke up in, I think, the middle of the night and was like, all right, I'm going to get food. Nobody was up. Nothing was open.
Nothing is open in Madison.
Except there was, I guess, Ian's Pizza. They call it Dante. Or I forget what they call it there. I think it's Ian's Pizza. One that has macaroni and cheese on or whatever. Yeah. Serge knows. And lo and behold, PK and John Laffer were there. So I did run into them. And then this is really inside baseball. And then I got a piece of pizza and Went. I had like dinner reservations. Oh, it was fun. It's okay. We're all laughing about it now.
Did you ever buy beer from Eric ever again?
No, I never did. Never did. Never did. Anyone else have a beer that they liked?
Yeah.
Let's see how long we can keep this going.
I do, actually. I was not able to get to the taste this year. I'm glad you were able to go. We were texting about it. I had some obligations and couldn't make it, sadly. But I last weekend was at the Alarmist Tap Room up in my new neighborhood and had their IPA, which is called Glacial Mist. I shared one with you, Mike. Mm-hmm. It's like so good.
Yeah,
it's
got
great.
that OG, that onion garlic that the kids are calling it now.
It's got
That's what Jude told me.
It's like the best IPA I can remember drinking in a few years. I think.
Wow.
To me, it's like on the level. Nearly on the level of,
on the level,
of something.
Nearly on the level.
I don't want to like.
Somewhere
I don't
close
want to talk out of school.
It reminded me of.
It's like remarkable. I had the last can of it.
What
last
beer were
night.
you going to say? But then you decided it's on the level
to
of.
To me, it's like when I think like the really good like Midwestern IPAs is like obviously Headhunter's up there.
Yeah.
It is phenomenal.
All right.
It blew
What's
my
it called?
mind.
Glacial
Mist.
Cool.
Yeah,
It's
highly.
like a Gatorade flavor / IPA.
I figured.
But I mean, I know that
Hater
Alarmist
miss.
makes great beer, but that one
was
really
really
like
good.
floored me.
Yeah, we shared
Cool.
on that Thursday.
And I can't wait to go get some more of it too.
Well,
Shout out
that's
to the
great.
taproom staff there too; they were all awesome.
Cool.
But that's the only beer I've had that's been good.
Okay. Anything that you foresee liking, or
no, yeah, I was able to travel to Vermont and do a road trip through Maine a little bit, so I got to hit up some spots.
boring,
Boring stuff.
nothing good out there.
But Oxbow up in Newcastle,
Yes.
obviously a lot of the joy of drinking Oxbow is being in that space. It's this, for those who aren't familiar, it's just this really small kind of, I guess, farmhouse brewery, I guess, but it's in the middle of kind of nowhere. Really cool space and really enjoying the beers. Obviously the farmhouse pale ale, really tasty. This was enjoying pretty
The
much
barrel
everything.
aged farmhouse
Yeah.
is just so good.
Yeah, I had, and the nice thing with those beers is I think they kind of know that they're out in the middle of nowhere, so a lot of low ABV stuff. So I think I had 3 just like 4%-ish beers and just
Great.
loved everything, had a few things to go, and really, really enjoyed that experience. And that was the highlight in a trip that included Little Farmstead, Allagash, Alchemist. Yeah, it was a great time.
Cool. That's awesome. No, I am a huge fan of
Me too.
those folks.
I've mostly been drinking my own beer, if I'm being honest. Bourgeois Danger has been great, but a little 3.2 table beer. But other than that, my friends have started their a little non-alcoholic beer brand called Visitor that I've had a few 6-packs of in the fridge. And whenever I'm like, I don't really want to drink, but I want to kind of have that beer vibe, been drinking a couple of those. And for non-alcoholic beer, it's one of my favorites.
That's good.
Yeah.
I like the branding on it.
Yeah.
And I've liked the marketing around
Yeah.
it. It tastes. What's the flavor profile? What are they going for?
Ale-ish lager, just like beer flavored beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I have not really had any of the NA stuff, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't really either until these guys who were friends of mine started it and had some of those, had some athletic, but I think I prefer their like non-Michelob Ultra without alcohol vibe. So
Interesting.
yeah,
NA Mick Ultra.
That's not what their vibe is.
Oh,
That's
not
what,
that.
Yeah, that's what athletic is. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not really like running marathons or anything, so I like the visitor stuff.
Cool. There's some. So I visited Sierra Nevada as well while I was out there. We were just talking about Sierra Nevada. So there's a few things I wanted to talk about in retrospect to last week's show or 2 weeks ago's show.
Where
I was out of town.
We shit
last
all over
week.
Sierra Nevada for only making IPAs.
I mean, we shit all over the industry, citing them as an example.
Trickle down shit.
Or trickle up.
Sure.
Yeah, or however you want to say. So what I propose is I refresh my beer, and then we we get into talking about that. Is that acceptable?
As long as you're up for it, champ.
I am. I'm ready. You feeling good?
I'm great.
High five.
Just hit him in the head.
Pound it out. All right. We'll see you guys soon.
And we're back. Welcome to the Beer Temple podcast. I'm here with my co-host, Chris Quinn of the Beer Temple, Eric Kapraun of Phase 3, and the hottest takes, Jake,
Nice.
Hopo Brewing.
You're good at this coming back thing.
And sometimes I forget people's names.
Yeah. So I was at Mills River, Sierra Nevada, and I was thinking a lot about what we talked about last week, which I know Hot Take and Buster have.
They get advanced copies of the show.
They listen to the last. They listen. I mean, it's been 2 weeks.
They listen to the Patreon live
But
feed.
I'll repeat what we talked about just in case.
Yeah.
Essentially, it was.
There's an article.
Yeah, it was an article in Paste about how basically it's becoming like a homogenization of IPA. It's just a monoculture. That's what they called it.
Yeah, we're in Ray Daniels' hell.
Right. And the examples he used was how it's like at the very top it's bad, and I think sometimes people take their cues from some of the bigger breweries and how they kind of set stuff up, and instead of having seasonals, their seasonals are now just all IPA variants, and there's
Like
already
Doug predicted,
they're,
the legend.
They're seasonals. Now they have the spin-off of the Hazy Little spin-off brand extension, and then there's seasonals, which used to be like, maybe it was like Ruthless Rye, Bigfoot, Tumbler, Optimum, and maybe something else. I don't know. Or Keller Weiss maybe is what it would have been, or Summerfest or something. Sure. Now it's all IPAs and Bigfoot, which I would call an IPA. So they have, Pale Ale, Torpedo, and I think another IPA as their like year-rounds. They have the hazies, and then they have their seasonals, which are also all IPAs.
Right, but so basically they make 17 IPAs and nothing else.
Right. So when I went there, super gracious, still the best tour.
They had listened to the podcast, and they were still cool with.
Totally cool.
All right.
I definitely brought that up.
Yeah, Ken Grossman was like, I listen to the podcast all the time.
Yeah, love it.
I love
Thanks.
that you guys didn't like us.
Yeah, he gave the tour, which was awesome.
Yep.
Very appreciated.
Brian
cool,
was pouring the beer, I'm assuming.
Yep. They so they are right next to the airport, which I'm guessing has like I think they take like golf carts too, like from the airport. They're that close. But Ken Grossman has a private jet, a Gulfstream, and it's called Eastern Airlines, is what he calls it. Yeah. Yeah.
That hurt me on a lot of levels.
Eastern Airlines. Mm-hmm. That's what he uses to get from like Chico to, I guess, there when he has to go there, whatever. Anyway. I think that guy's earned it if he wants to have a freaking plane. I wonder what his carbon footprint is.
Not great.
Anyway, so they were talking about how like they had just put out a new Hazy Little. It was like a Hazy Little wheat one. I forget what it's called. And I had it. It was good. Tasted good. It was like a citrus thing. It had
You didn't have a
some
pale
sort of
ale while
like
you were there?
powdered like grapefruit and orange
Sure.
was in it or something like that. Some sort of, I don't know, crazy, food science thing that was in there. Tasted good.
You didn't have a pale ale?
Of course I had a pale ale.
Oh, okay.
It tasted amazing.
Yeah, all right.
They also had a cool like Keller Pills on. They had porter on, stuff like that, which is cool. But anyway.
What about Keller Weiss?
Nope. Nope, not.
That's so weird.
Yeah, I know. That one was killed, I think, 2 years ago. And then they killed Oktoberfest this year.
What?
Yeah, for
Listen,
IPAs. That's what we're
Listen,
talking
Eric,
about.
Jet fuel's expensive. Have you
No, but-
seen how much
all right.
diesel is right now? Extrapolate that out.
Well-
you're gonna make that money with Keller pills.
That's fair. My question, I know, yeah. The last 2 years, they've brewed collaborations with like some of the most OG lager breweries in Europe. That's why I'm kind of shocked that they would, like just abandoned it.
And I definitely brought up my displeasure over that on multiple occasions. It definitely got to be, I think I brought it up 3 times.
Did you ask them if they have a mild?
No, I didn't. I did have a mild at Rhine Geist.
Yeah, I saw that.
It was good.
Yeah. Wasn't it a 6%?
I also, there were 2 milds at the Great Taste. I had both of them.
There were 2 milds at the Great Taste.
Somebody came
who
up
made
to
them?
me, randomly, came up to me and said, "So where are the good milds at?" Which was, I was like, very cool, very cool.
Where were they?
I said, he said,
They were in the
"There's
lake.
2 of them."
They were actually gasping for air. Chris was like, "Yeah, not for you today, bud."
Yeah.
Kicked a rock in his face.
So, yeah. Oh, man, milds were, I mean, yeah, there was a
On the tip of
huge line
nobody's
for them.
tongue.
So you don't remember where the milds were? is
Huge
what we're
line.
getting right
No, huge. No, one was,
I thought a line had to have 2 points to be a line. So like more
Great
than one person. And
Dane and then
If it only
another
has,
one.
if it only has 1 point, it's an array. Or it's a ray.
There's 2 of them.
Okay.
There were 2. Anyway, but we were talking about Sierra Nevada. I can show you actually. Well, it's not. It doesn't make good for good radio if I show you on. Oh, here it is. There's the line for the mild. So this is the longest line at the Great Taste, which was a long line. I mean, that's I don't know. 50, I mean, it was a long line. Was
very
for
diverse looking line as well.
Dimensional
Like people
Brewing
made out of
Company.
mashed potatoes?
Do you know who? Does anyone know who Dimensional Brewing is?
No.
Even the legend didn't know who they were.
Yeah.
Do you know who they are?
They're in Dubuque, apparently.
Dubuque, Iowa. Do you know who they are,
No.
Jake?
No, never heard of him.
Sweet. We're on the. See, guys, that's why you listen to us because we're on the on the inside. No, I didn't talk
It's
to.
an opaque bubble. We cannot see.
I talked to no one who could really tell me anything about them.
You
I
didn't ask
talked
anyone
to-
in the
I
line.
asked one person in the line.
And they just said it's a long line, so I stood in it.
She's like, no, they're from Dubuque and they make really good beer or something
That's
like
where
that.
my parents met.
Right.
That's probably why all those people were
Not
in
what
line.
she
for
said.
it.
But also, they were like maybe 25 people out when whatever beer they had kicked. I think it was like their take on KBBS. So it was their
So you
take
need-
on KBBS. Yeah. So it's like the photocopy of a photocopy, like you like to say. I mean, it really was then.
Yeah.
So
That's
It
wild to
kicked.
think we can like there's starting to be takes on beers that aren't like.
The original take.
Yeah, is that like is that considered a classic now? A KBBS?
I guess so. I mean, somebody
isn't-
traded a car
isn't-
for it.
I mean that's. Yes, I know that the Audi, right?
So Beamer, I think. yeah.
Beamer and Audi, it's all the same. But that's wild to hear.
Beer sucks.
So anyway, it ran out, but they're like, but they do have
We
this,
have a mild. Get out of here.
no pickle beer that they have on, and I was like, that I'm going to get instead. So I was like, oh, okay. And then I saw her like a little bit later. I was like, how is the pickle beer? She's like, it's awesome. It tastes exactly like a pickle. And she's like, here, smell it. And it kind of smelled like a bread and butter pickle. I'll just leave it at that. So this person waited in the longest line there for a bread and butter pickle beer. And was happy. Hey, and was happy for it.
If you're at the Great Taste, you should be happy with every beer you get to sample.
Every beer you wait in line for.
Anyway, you were at Sierra Nevada.
Yes.
And you had something you wanted to
They
say.
were talking about this
What
new
was their pickle
hazy.
Pilsner like at
Wait, it was
Sierra?
great. It was a LEED certified, 0 carbon footprint.
Except for the plane
Except
that
for
he has
the
to fly
jet.
across.
Yeah. I will say, I bet you even with that plane taken into consideration, they're probably way more environmental than pretty much anybody else. That place is unbelievable. I guess it depends on how much they're using that plane, but they're a pretty big brewery. So they said they brewed it, and it was like it's like exploding in popularity, and it was like became, I think, maybe the most popular of the Hazy Littles or of the seasonal ones or something like that. And Hazy Little Thing now is jockeying for position with Pale Ale. It says they go back and forth. So I thought to myself, what are they supposed to do when they put out a new beer and it goes crazy and they can't and it's just selling tons and tons and tons of it? Are they supposed to not keep doing it? Make it a special season? Like, what are they supposed to do?
They have to keep making it.
They don't have to. I mean, but does it make sense to make Oktoberfest instead? Or
Right.
So I don't know. I kind of saw a little bit of the other side of it, and it wasn't put as an argument because she didn't know anything about
She wasn't a big listener.
wasn't a big fan, or she held it very tight to the chest if she was. And
A lot of people do.
But I think it's easy for us to say, oh, it sucks. And I do think it sucks. And I do think it's a problem. But I think the solution isn't just Sierra Nevada shouldn't make this new beer that's destroying for them.
Right. I mean,
That one destroyed. This brand extension of what is now surpassing Pale Ale destroys. Maybe we should make another one?
they've released, they've reached, escape velocity for, what we think of as, a culturally relevant brewery. They're so far into just the mainstream that, of course, they have to follow those things. And it stinks for us who are in a niche of this, looking at them being oh, man, I wish you still made Oktoberfest, but they don't. It's not just a beer nerd thing anymore. It's not just a Grateful Dead thing anymore. They're fully mainstream and in every grocery store in the country.
But they have been for a long time. I
Sure.
think just craft beer has changed. I mean, what do you guys think?
You all talked
Your-
about this in
your
the
sales
last
reps.
episode? Are we
Yeah.
just going over this? Okay, cool. Just making sure.
All right.
Okay, yeah. So
You don't want? All right, we can talk about
No,
something
no,
different.
no. I just wanted to. I didn't know if this was something that had been hashed out on the last episode you mentioned, because I did see the liner notes of the last one, and I did read the article. Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy, because you have distributors who want the thing that sells, and then they're demanding these IPAs, and then these big breweries have to kind of counts out of that. But I mean, Mike, as you mentioned, we're the breweries that you and I work for and Eric works for, we're niche breweries, and we can kind of exist outside of that drive. Obviously, we have to listen to a little bit of it. But I mean, to me, it's not a beer problem. It's just commodities kind of consumerism problem. It's just kind of everything gets flattened into this. It's everything. So it's hard to talk about it in beer specifically as if we don't exist in this larger sort of world of consumer goods and kind of how everything gets consolidated by big companies and then everything gets homogenized anyway. So, as a small brewer, as a part of a small brewery, I think part of the fun of it is being able to exist a little bit outside of that. Obviously, you're not completely ever going to be away from that. And the fear is that it eventually subsumes everything. And there's just one, like we did back, before craft brewery boomed in the 80s or 90s, is that we're going to go back to just 5 mega breweries all brewing the same beer. And then we go through that cycle again. I don't know. It's kind of it's not just part of this Sierra Nevada thing. It's kind of beer since the last 100 years, well, over that, I'd say.
Yeah, and I think we've gotten to a point where data is such that you can justify the homogenization of these things in a different way than ever before. Like you can like slice it up and do whatever you want with data, but like it's like, oh nope, we're still selling IPAs. And
Or the way I felt to me, the way I thought of it at the time was they're too big to be able to make what they wish they could make or something like that. Like they just can't.
That's where my head goes is when you get to that size and scale, the idea that as the second biggest independent brewery in America, that you're all of a sudden gonna, you have the iconic craft beer, period. Right. I think with pale ale, and then like 40 years into this, you're gonna somehow like squeeze out like something that's going to rival that in volume and like IRI data. It's insane. It's almost unfathomable in my opinion. And what it does is just cool. Sierra Nevada now has a whole new generation of beer people who want to drink a beer because all the beers that they like maybe got into when they first got into craft beer and they found their local brew pub that was making hazy double IPAs, but then they had a kid and then moved to the suburbs and they just want something that's going to be easy for them to find and be accessible. They can have that in Sierra Nevada, and the full circle of, so someone has a Sierra Pale Ale when they're in college, and then they graduate and then they start their own brewery that's influenced by that, and then Sierra Nevada, and something like a hazy beer comes to be, and then Sierra Nevada can like make that version that's very accessible to everybody and continue to be relevant and continue to grow. It's kind of remarkable. And Jake's point about the distributor keeping them happy, it's like, cool. There might not have been that many points of distribution that they were opening up with Sierra Pale Ale. Like I'm assuming that was pretty flat for them. So to then like have a totally new SKU come into the world, and then now the distributor can walk into a bar and say, yeah, your local pale ale might do well, but I've got one that's going to be cheaper and it's probably going to be better and more shelf stable too.
Right.
It's remarkable. I'm not saying it's like reinventing the wheel, but I find it fascinating. Like the circle's kind of complete in my mind.
We'll say that both the hazies that I had there were extremely drinkable, extremely balanced. They know how to brew a beer. And then they had like BA Narwhal on the little like tour. They did like pale ale, 2 hazies, and BA Narwhal. They were all, impeccably brewed, obviously. But anyway, that was just a little side note I wanted to. It was interesting, we spent so much time talking about it, and then I was there, and I just thought about it a little bit differently. Not saying that I'm happy about it, not saying I think it's good for beer, that it's becoming this monoculture thing, but it's also like, it's difficult. Like, who's to say that it's their job to start driving the consumer in a way that is risky to their bottom line, I guess.
Right. That's also like, so the narrative of craft beer is like, we brew what we like, and then we teach you how to like it. But that's not really the case of commerce. There's no company.
That's the thing what the little guys are doing now, and it's maybe bubbling up, and then the big guys
That's
can
why,
react.
there's almost 10,000 breweries, so there's plenty of breweries that can be specific or make things that are a little bit different. And they don't have to be Sierra Nevada, but Sierra Nevada can take up a completely different space.
Yeah. I have a quick question. What this Lupo Lager I'm tasting? What is it hopped with?
It is Simcoe, Columbus, and Wakatu.
Okay.
That Columbus is hitting Chris right in
Yeah,
his happy place.
That OG, as you say. Jeez.
We've been vibing on Columbus lately at the brewery.
Jesus.
Yeah.
It's heavy on that chive OG onion garlic thing.
You don't have to say that every time, but yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
You invented it.
I did not invent it.
Well, you
I heard
invented it.
from Jude.
You invented it.
Yeah, if we can only get
Jude
Sierra
told me the
Nevada
kids
to
were
brew a
saying
Lupo Lager, we could really be hitting on all cylinders here at Hopewell.
Did you email him?
I need to email him. I need to email Ken.
I think it's info@Sierra Nevada.
Get him on the horn. Hey, can you get him on the horn, Chris, for me? I need to talk about Lupo Lager.
saw. I don't know if I took a picture of it or have it. I think I might have Ken Grossman's email. I've never, I won't.
It's just
I will.
honestly,
I've never done
subject.
it, but I'm going to read it out. I'm going to read it online.
Concussed brain reads out.
I'm going to read it out online right on air right now.
Kenny G69 at Sierra Nevada Brewing.
I do have it.
Yeah, say it.
And his phone number.
555.
How the heck did I get that? I think someone like shared it with me. Like, oh, I have it. Here it is.
Yeah, he came into West Lakeview one time when I was working there, and it was just very unassuming, just kind of like looking around.
Yeah.
I'm like, why are you here? This is a small place.
Ken Grossman, founder, Sierra Nevada. I don't know how I remember.
Did you? I hope you put the founder
don't say
in
anything.
there.
No, I didn't. It was sent to me. You can't say anything about what it is.
Chris doing his
I don't
best
know.
Don Bixel impression.
Right. No, the fact that I have his contact.
Rob Todd.
Yeah,
Is
exactly.
that Rob Todd? Is that actually Rob Todd?
Yeah, you know what? I was scrolling through, and you know whose contact I have?
Rob Todd.
Rob Todd's.
It's the most efficient name in the game. 6 letters. You can't get less than 6 letters in the Western Hemisphere. Anyway,
that's all I got.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shall we gracefully transition to talking about Great Taste and then festivals at large?
Sure.
So you were at Great Taste. Mm-hmm. You guys weren't at Great Taste. I wasn't at Great Taste.
Oh, perfect.
But Great Taste is like, you've all been, Great Taste is like the kind of premier Midwestern festival. Am I wrong?
I mean, I've never been. I would put it up there as, Mount Rushmore, a Mount Rushmore fest.
Yeah, it's Mount Rushmore Fest for me, and I think it's the best one in the Midwestern part of the country as well.
What's your favorite overall? Everyone says Firestone Invitational.
Yeah, probably.
I've never been, but
Probably me too. I would say that. Yeah.
okay. So even better than
Those
Great
two.
Taste.
I mean,
Just different.
yeah, they're different. They're different completely in a million ways. But
What as an attendee would you rather go to? Because a lot of it is how they like wine you and dine you at the Invitational. I think that's a lot of why the industry people like it, because they like going to it because you like camp with them and get to
and it's so exclusive.
Right.
You can't get into that fest if you're a hip new cool brewery. They don't care if Firestone Walker.
Right.
And they and to some extent they don't necessarily care at the Great Taste either, which I have a lot of respect for. So,
all right.
I think that the extracurricular parts of Firestone Walker are what make it great. I mean, they ran out of a water park for the brewers to go to, and
See, I mean,
I get to go drink on.
I gotta go.
an
I gotta go to
estate.
this just so I can once and for all, as an attendee, be like, okay, here's what it's like.
As an
I'm
attendee,
sure
it's
gonna be
cool.
great.
You get like a bunch
but-
of food to pair as well. With beers, and the food, everything I ate was incredible. I've never been to a beer fest where you're given a glass that's attached to a plate that you can remove, so you can like walk around and sample food and beer. So that's really neat. I don't know. It's some high end stuff,
Okay.
I guess, for certain type of people.
Yeah.
The Great Taste is a little bit more working class. The way you get tickets.
That's why I don't like it.
The,
It's not bougie enough.
Very elite.
Yes, I'm very.
Here how we laughed.
I think your monocle fell out.
Laughed so hard his monocle fell out.
But obviously, elite level water park style festivals.
Elitist level.
Yeah, elitist level. What as a visiting brewery, both you and Jacob spent a lot of time probably going to festivals. What do you like about what makes a good festival from your side?
Organization. I mean, just being able to, there's a lot of festivals that we've done in the past, maybe not so much recently. We haven't really done a ton recently, pretty much since COVID. But I think when we first were getting started, we were just kind of saying yes to everything. And, it becomes very very clear early on when you start doing festivals, the ones that just kind of don't work, where they oversell tickets or whatever, and then you're moving volume, but you're not having any sort of interactions with the people that are drinking the product. So we've always looked at it as like quality over quantity, which I think is not a new concept, obviously, where we'd rather have a 2 or 3 dozen like really nice, good conversations where people are going to come back like having some knowledge about the brand and the beer, and they can go and they can talk about it, versus just like being in this constant line of just like filling a beer, which we've done both. And, internally we've talked about these festivals, like what kind of festivals do we even do anymore? And we're much pickier than we used to be. It's nice to be in a position to be picky, but I don't know. Yeah, Eric, I don't know how you feel about what your experience has been, but yeah, that's kind of where we're at.
One thing I'll say about festivals just in general in 2022, it seems like they're back. At least Great Taste was full attendance level. Last year was, I think, 50% or something like that. And it was nice. The vibe was still definitely there, but it was a full-blown fest, and it was the first I had been to. And that was just, and I didn't really even think about it, which was nice. Very nice to not have to
be out in public and not be concerned.
Yeah, it was outside, and it was nice. So I was happy to see that, because I do think that, well, I'm curious to ask you guys, the three of you, like, the festival circuit used to be such an intense grind. I would hear from people at breweries just about how the summer was just such a grind with all these fests, and it hasn't been like that for a while. I mean, what is it like now, and do you think this festival grind is coming back? Is it going to change? Has it changed? Are you hoping it will change, or what do you? I'm curious about that.
At Hopewell, we get invited. I'd say about the same amount, maybe not as much as pre-pandemic, but we don't say yes to nearly as many as we used to. I mean, part of it is just quality of the job and just that grind. Our salespeople were the ones usually doing those events, and they're on the road hitting accounts, 40 hours a week. And so if it's at a festival, it was something that we think internally that it's really going to actually be fun for people to go attend, first of all, and just be something that's valuable for the brand. So we're much pickier than we used to be. I don't know if that's just a virtue of us getting older and learning more about the scene, or if that's a change in the overall dynamic of festivals in general. I'm not sure, but that's where we're at.
I think like the COVID pause on festivals had made a lot of people kind of reassess, like, why were we doing this in the first place? Like,
totally, yeah.
And then it's one of those things, like, oftentimes, so I mean, Is was started 6 months before COVID, so we got invited to
Nailed it.
one festival before that, and it was actually Jake's festival. And then, but at Pipeworks, it was one of those things, like, a lot of times, if they paid for the beer, you'd have to like kind of chase them down for it, and it became more of a hassle. And then you're like,
it became weird, probably.
Yeah, and then like, who wants to actually go to wherever this is on a Saturday and then have to set up the jockey box and then come back and clean it? Like, it's just like a much more hassle than it was worth for me personally. I didn't do a lot of festivals. I'm also a more introverted person, so when there were other people that do them, I'm like, yeah, you guys can go and do it. But I've been to a bunch of like very unique, fun festivals. Like I've poured at beer festivals in China, in Japan, and New York. And
now who's name dropping?
Those are countries.
Country dropping.
Country dropping.
But I don't know. There's as is was we've started getting invited to more festivals, and we're saying no to most of them because we don't have a lot of beer. And it just isn't the environment for our beer, that's for sure. We do ones that we have personal relationships with, and ones that will be interesting to do, or with like-minded attendees and things like that. But
are you and Eric's still planning Dust Fest. I know that got kind of sidelined.
We have Dust Fest every week, pretty much.
Oh, I've never been invited.
You're always invited.
Do I not?
You've never
I didn't
attended.
I guess maybe I just thought maybe I wasn't carrying enough.
you're not-
My wallet wasn't
they-
holding enough.
They might be
Dust
going.
coin.
They might be going to your spam folder because we send a lot of emails about Dust Fest.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to check your blockchain wallet there, bud.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Is that where you send it
Doug,
to?
Get Doug to
my
teach you how to check
blockchain
your
wallet
blockchain
inbox.
wallet.
Inbox. Oh, that's what it is. It's my blockchain wallet inbox
Chris
spam
at-
filter.
Chris at blockchainwalletinboxspamfilter.com. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not your email address.
Oh, I've been sending it to Chain Wallet. See, that's
like the okay that
yeah.
See, they're just joking. They're not really doing that. They just don't want me to attend Dust Fest.
Probably not.
Yeah. What do you think about Dust Fest and other fests, Eric? Any fest, dust related.
I have a lot of thoughts. It's probably more than I can really put together in this exact moment. It's hard. I mean, as someone who works for a company, you have to be selective on what you do, why you do it, what the trade-off is. You know, in my mind, there's like a huge difference between something you get on an airplane for or something that you do locally. What's the benefit there? It's really complicated to think about what you're actually getting out of something like that. And oftentimes, if you're flying out to a beer fest, more likely than not, you're losing money on that situation, like almost guaranteed. It's very few and far between that you're actually like coming out in the black financially.
But think of the posts. Think of the Insta.
Sure,
likes.
but that to me is much more indicative of a different, what I would call, issue with some of these festivals that I don't necessarily want to like dive into right now because I do have a lot of thoughts on it.
Here's a thought I have. I think the pause because of COVID came at a really good time for fests because I think they were about to drive off effing cliff. I thought there was just way too many that were the same
For profit as well.
and it just didn't like all the people that I knew were so disinterested in just fests and just were kind of like, their shoulders sagged when they thought about a fest where it didn't used to be like that. So I'm hoping that this reset will chill things out a little bit.
I hope so too. Let's think about this. I want to just lay out an example of what a weekend traveling to a beer festival is like, because it's probably not something anyone ever thinks about, and it's a reality that I've spent a lot of time inside of. So,
And you used to capture it for real on Instagram.
Sure.
Very well. It was my favorite Instagram stories. It's your boy Eric.
So
It's your boy Eric.
Usually,
I'm out here at a beer festival.
So
I'm out here at Dust Fest.
Straight up, I'm going to be really real about this, and it's
Be real,
probably a little bit too big of a peek behind the curtain, but I don't really care at this point. Whatever. So let's think about it. Friday, you are going to the airport. You're traveling. You're going to be eating airport food. You're going to be waking up super early. You're going to be getting to the airport. You're going to be flying in somewhere. You're going to land. You're going to eat probably junk food again. You're going to go to some tap room that's nearby, drink a few beers, go check into the hotel if you're waiting for it to open up. Great. Then what are you going to do? You're going to go to the pre-party. What are you going to do? Eat junk food again. Drink beer again. Wake up or go to bed. Wake up next day hungover. Start drinking. Start eating crappy food again. Work for probably 4 to 6 hours. That's if you don't have a festival that's 2 days or 2 sessions in one day. What are you going to do at the after party? Eat crappy food again. Maybe if you're lucky, you get to go somewhere that's not affiliated with the beer fest. If you're going somewhere that's
Probably a restaurant or a bar.
Right. Yep. Going to the restaurant or a bar. I was at one recently. Indoor smoking, and that's not exaggeration.
Oh, man,
it was a really wild time. And then probably staying out too late. Maybe going back to the bed early, back to the hotel early, going to bed. Wake up early as heck in the morning. Maybe get some food at the hotel. maybe get some food at the airport, flying home, getting home in the early afternoon, and then that's your weekend. You just spent it working and eating and drinking like crap. And then what do you have to do? You have to go back to work on Monday. For one, you lose out on your weekend, your time away from work. Because even if you're going on a nice, luxurious trip like something like a Firestone Walker, you're still going to be
It beats up your body.
working. It beats up your body. It beats up your brain. It's not healthy. It's not sustainable. It's very.
It sounds
not
like
good
the
for
young.
you.
It's for young people.
Sure, but
like they can go and just rebound from it and love it.
Sure, but I you're totally right. But I think that breed of people is dying out. And I'm 100% acknowledging that this is like a champagne problem to have. So if you're a brewer or an owner of a brewery, and you want to go out and network and do things like that and share your beer with new cool people, that's all fine and that's great. And obviously that's part of it too, but it's very unhealthy. It's very unsustainable. That's why it drives a lot of people into the ground. And that's why you see people like, shrugging their shoulders about, oh yeah, I can't go to this many fests. Cause you're talking like, there are people that I see like, I would say 30 weekends out of the year going to these beer festivals. It just doesn't leave any sort of semblance of a healthy work-life balance either. So taking away like the physical and emotional and the mental part of it, it's like, okay, well, you're also not unplugging from work, which I think you need to do to like have a healthy, sane
Right.
brain.
Even if you love what you do, you have to take time away from it to like.
Absolutely. Even if you like go on a run the morning of the fest or try to eat healthy or whatever. I don't eat meat. I went to a beer festival, and I'm not exaggerating this. At the Friday pre-party, at the Saturday at the pre-party, pre-fest and post-fest, and the Sunday event that they did, the only food option was smashed burgers. So I was
amazing.
But like Impossible.
They're like, hey,
Burgers,
man,
right?
you don't eat meat? Go fuck yourself. I'm so sorry, but there's no options for you. Oh, hope you like French fries. That's all we got for one of the 3 meals. So I had to like order Chipotle or whatever. And again, I'm acknowledging like, yeah, this is cool. This is fun. But if there's certain things like, oh yeah, I don't eat meat, you're kind of out on your own. And it's I just don't think it's like a good thing necessarily. So that's me up on my soapbox about how I feel about beer festivals. There's also like a lot of people that are doing them just to make money. They're just doing them to jump on the back of the people who work in breweries, and that's all I care about.
Third parties you're talking about, or just
Yeah.
breweries as well?
Oh yeah, no, I'm saying more like third parties. So like,
I think breweries are. I mean, I think a lot of people are trying to do it. To
as
make money.
if you're a brewery putting it on,
Good luck making money.
you're also not making money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just everyone is losing money.
Yeah, it's the only thing that, and I think that the part where I get a little bit sour on it is like at the end of the day, there might be some fun networking. There's some good opportunities to try some new beers and things like that, but there's also a pretty good chance that no one remembers anything
Sure.
because they got blackout drunk at a beer fest because they were getting served 15% alcohol imperial barrel aged stouts for 4 hours.
Pickle beers.
Right, and pickle beers and things like that. So
People black
it's
out and pickle beers.
really weird.
Imagine getting blackout drunk on a pickle beer, on nothing but pickle beers.
You'd probably like have hypertension before you got blackout drunk.
Was it a pickle pills or a pickle mild or? At
I think it was like
It
a.
was probably a kettle sour, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think it was probably a kettle sour pickle soured something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We don't
Didn't
do
taste
that.
it. I only smelled it.
We don't do that many festivals. Like we got invited to a festival in Pittsburgh, and it was everything about it was great, but all of those things existed too, right? Where like the bottle share was at a great, like the pre-bottle share was at a really cool brewery that had smash burgers, and then we just chose to not go to a lot of the stuff. to
Sure, I
be
mean
honest.
that's also an option too. But then you're taking, you're spending your money or your brewery's money, and things
right.
like
I mean,
that.
we lost a significant amount of. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, we're a small brewery, so
I know it's like a champagne problem. I'm not trying to pretend like this is like a real issue, but I also think that like there's some real bad stuff to it too.
well, there's also
Unfortunately.
no real solution given the.
bad for beer
economics of
culture.
a festival.
I do think that there's breweries that have gone out of their way to try to make it like a more healthy experience. Like I was talking a little bit earlier off mic about the Veil does theirs, which I believe is called Summer Forever. They don't require the brewers to pour at the fest, or if they do, it's only for like an hour. They take everyone like whitewater rafting. There's like a juice bar there. It's not just like an unhealthy thing. I think that there are ways to do it that aren't necessarily just like party your face off for 2 days and then kick you back home to happen as well. But I don't know. I probably just dove a little bit too deep into my personal feelings on some of these beer festivals.
How dare you?
Exist, but
I was talking with Todd Bora of Fontafora when I was out there, and they had just
it's Rob Todd Bora.
yeah, Todd Bora, who I know, who texted me one time.
Dang.
Yeah, they had just
Are you
had
gonna
their
freak out about having his phone number too.
exactly. So they had just had their Origins Fest, where it's like, you know, people who are using local ingredients. So obviously Scratch was there, Wunderkammer was there, which is pretty awesome. But I guess there was a bunch of people from all over, and I think they had a day of like everyone kind of camped out on their ground the night before if they wanted to, or there was like a hotel that maybe there was like a discount to it. I don't think they like gave them they didn't pay for their hotels necessarily. I think they paid for something insane to me that I thought like their flights or something. I don't know.
yeah, that's become more common. It's like if you can't like legally find a way to make sense to buy the beer through like a temporary distribution agreement, they'll give you like a travel credit to try to make up some of the revenue that might be lost from that.
And people showed up and were like, so where's all the camping stuff? And they expected them to just have like 50 tents and 100, you know, bedrolls and all that stuff. And he was like, later, dude, I'm sleeping at my house. I said, you could camp on the grounds if you wanted to. And people were just like sleeping on the picnic benches and stuff.
They create a Hooverville
somebody.
It is way out, and there's like that brewery is not near anything.
And then
out there, out in the hill. I mean, it's beautiful, but there's not like a hotel like two miles down the road or whatever.
Somebody well known in the beer industry was
Matt Brindleson.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No.
He's gonna be on the show one day.
Like went into their barrel room and was like groping around in the dark and found like barrel warmers or something, like these like warming blankets that they sometimes like put around them because it's not like a heated facility or something, and like took them and wrapped themselves in them and slept on the concrete floor that night with these like warming blankets over them, which is
going a bad direction.
Which is amazing. No, I mean, I think it was just funny how people were just not
well, it's just
prepared.
like it speaks to the fact like you assume if you're going to go to this cool festival, like they're going to take care of everything.
Just have like all the tents set up.
And the hospitality part of it's definitely stepped up a lot too. I think because everyone follows in like Firestone's lead, where you're like, yo, you got to pay for this. You know, you got to hook them up with a hotel and all these different things, and that part of it definitely is awesome and helpful. But if you're like coming into a town and you're bouncing around, you don't necessarily know where you're going. It's kind of nice to just not have to worry about one less thing.
Absolutely. I mean, when I went to that beer festival in China, they had every day we were there for 4 days, and every day they were like, you can go on this like historic walk around this part of Beijing if you want. Like they set up a bunch of stuff for us, and it was like, that's why I went back the next year, because this was like amazing. But I mean, they paid for our flights and they paid for the hotel, and like I'm sure they ate it a couple of years. But
oh my gosh, I think so. I mean, yeah. So is anybody making like? I mean, is the Veil making money on something where they're taking everybody white water rafting? I mean, that sounds to me like it's expensive. And I'm assuming, do they pay for like flights out? Do they pay for hotels then? Do they pay for every like?
Obviously, we don't know. We can't know their financial setup, but
sure, right. But that never.
That is where
hot take time.
You can,
Jake.
sorry, you can bring in sponsors to help offset the costs for that kind of stuff too, and that's I think probably where you can get closer to being break even proposition. Is either that or just selling tickets for a lot of money or
$1 bucks,
right?
Well,
Yeah, I think. I mean, you did Far and Away. Is that right?
Yeah.
So you have more knowledge on that than I do. I mean, with Act Natural, when we were doing year 2, which is the festival that Mike you were at, but we were doing year 2, we're going to expand it and get it bigger. We were talking about, inviting outside breweries and putting them up, and at that point it was like, how do we break even on this? This is, best case scenario, break even. It becomes a brand builder, right? But then. Yeah, Eric, you're saying like sponsors. We're like, okay, who can we get to sponsor certain aspects of this to kind of just help us get to that point? Because it is producing events is a very, very expensive, time consuming, labor intensive. And if you don't have sponsors, it almost doesn't work. Why do you when you go to Lollapalooza or Pitchfork, you see all these, tequila tents or whatever, those people are paying money to be there. They're paying 6 figures to just be in that spot. And that's what makes those things even possible. So I, on the beer side of it, if you're trying to do really cool stuff, it's really, really hard to do because everyone's eating at those margins, right? And so, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you both have organized pretty successful events from the outside. What was it like on the inside of that? Like with Act Natural and Far Away, if you'd like to talk about it, no pressure, but
I don't mind talking about it at all.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? Get fired or lay off?
but I mean, Far and Away is like one of these festivals you were just talking about, where cool breweries from all over the country, you got to come in and feel the cool vibes.
Insane fest. It was pretty amazing.
It was
especially from how you were hooking people up, because you let me go to that after party thing, and that was.
I think you
bananas.
snuck in. Yeah, I think you snuck in, man.
Fine, I snuck in.
Yeah, I don't remember.
You gave him a brownie, just wandered in.
Open bar at the athletic club.
Cindy's on the rooftop, like, are these railroad tracks?
Exactly.
Well, I mean, I don't want to get too in the weeds on it, but to produce Far and Away was a big challenge. We saw this like opportunity. Man, how come no one in Illinois has done an invitational where you're bringing in outside breweries? Like, all these other states do it, and it's really easy. For example, in Missouri, you pay a $25 fee to be able to distribute beer for a beer festival like Four Hands does, or Lupulin Carnival, or any number of them. It's like you pay $25. You're registered with the state, so all the paperwork's cleared up. You can sell them the beer. Great, easy, so easy, maybe too easy. State of Illinois does not work like that. You had to do we had to do an insane amount of work on the back end just to be able to buy the beer from the breweries. That was a big thing for us, was we really wanted to buy the beer from the breweries. We weren't paying for their travel but we did want to make sure okay, well, hopefully we get you to as close of a point of breaking even as possible, so it makes sense for you guys to be here. So it's that when you spend a lot of time working on the legalities and working with the state, and you also have to think about the experience for the brewers and the attendees. When you're trying to do something that's brand new and you want to make it ultra premium, it's a huge challenge to make a reality. Right. Finding a venue, finding a charitable organization.
The Bean as your venue.
Yeah. Finding an organization to pull a special events permit for doing a sampling / beer fest.
Right, because that's an Illinois specific thing, right? You have
I think
to have,
so.
Why did you go with Normal?
What?
Or not Normal? Never. Never.
We went. We worked with Intonation Music Workshop, which was really, really great. But finding someone who's willing to put their, basically that allows them to pull the liquor license, but also to, get the insurance paperwork settled that the venue wants and all that kind of stuff. It's an insane amount of backbreaking, very boring, monotonous stuff just to be able to put it together. And then from there, you get to do the fun stuff, like pick the breweries you're going to invite, pick the spots you're going to do events, pick the spots you're going to put people up in. For us, for Far and Away, we wanted to showcase Chicago to these breweries that had never been here before, never had their beer served here before, and also bring to the people who drink beer in Chicagoland a crazy lineup of breweries that they wouldn't be able to really drink otherwise. This is like in the days before Tavor, where you couldn't just like go on the internet and buy whatever pretty easily. So it was an insane undertaking. It took like a year to do.
Yeah.
And it was wild from so many different standpoints.
I
but
wonder if a festival like that did have some potentially long-lasting positive effects, because that's when you met with Yvonne, right? Was with that at that fest, and that sure probably had some sort of impact on you.
Sure.
And in the last couple weeks have been talking to two breweries that were first brought in for Far and Away about coming back into the market, and both are interested in coming back into Chicago. Now, I don't know if they would have to. Maybe now that they've already gone through some of those hoops, they don't have to or know how to now. But I think that their openness to coming to Chicago certainly is helped by the fact that they were here for Far and Away. So it's been, hopefully has some long-lasting positive effects. I certainly hope so. I mean, Forest and Maine and Fonta Flora have expressed interest in coming back to Chicago, and I certainly hope they do. That'd be great. I'd love it if they did. And it was because of Far and Away, both of them, right?
Sure. I mean, that was the first time they were in Illinois, but
Yeah.
we had to jump through all sorts of hurdles with distributors, and
We had to figure out how are we going to make sure it's only poured at the Half Acre Tap Room, which kudos to you. You made it happen.
Thank you.
Never saw a distro. But hey,
Absolutely.
that's why it took a year to plan, I'm sure.
that was your fault, right?
Yeah, we just had to set
You
the
didn't
Fault,
want any of it to be distro.
intent.
We had to
Yeah.
stack all the cards up to where it was just going to
Right.
work out.
We're
in our
joking,
favor.
by the way. It was not the intention of that.
I think they know by now, Mike.
Oh, I'm never sure. Jake, you also put on a very cool festival that was very unique. Act Natural was that 2019?
Yes,
That
it
was
was
like
2019. Yeah,
mixed culture beers and natural wines.
yeah. The kind of ethos or whatever, the kind of identity of it was exploring that intersection of natural wine and wild beer, and like what we were seeing is in natural wine, which was really kind of fun and irreverent, kind of similar to what was going on in craft beer at the time. Yeah, we started that at 2019, and we were planning to expand it and keep it going. And we had a new venue in 2020 we were really excited about. We were going to be putting folks up and trying to do our best to do our own version of an invitational, albeit smaller than Far and Away. But obviously that was all kind of put to the wayside with COVID. But yeah, we're still excited about that as a concept. And we did a smaller version this year called Act Natural Light, but we're looking to hopefully kind of get that back on its feet in next year at a bigger venue. We've already been talking with some folks, and yeah, hopefully 2023 Act Natural back.
So,
Not to get too into the weeds, but are you talking about working with a venue that already has a liquor license, or would it be somewhere like pulling a special event?
So the previous venue we were going to have it at in 2020 was Chicago Athletic Association, but that was then. But so they have their licensing, and they were going to be great folks to work with. But 2023, we have some folks we've been talking to, liquor license in big spaces that could be really great. Obviously, that's a huge part of it, right? Is just those logistics of it. And again, like not trying to get too much, like you said, trying to get too much in the weeds here. But yeah, I mean, you want to, when you're looking at starting a festival or doing a festival, you want to just kind of have the least amount of that work to do. You want to focus on the cool stuff, like you said, like in getting the right breweries in there, and making sure they feel supported and welcome, and it's going to be a great experience for everybody. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work, like you said. It's a lot of stuff that people don't think about when you're trying to when you're starting the process. It's a lot of tedious stuff, but hopefully at the end of the day, people enjoy it.
We were fortunate when we put together Far and Away that we didn't like have to put together Instagrammable like backdrops or we're like, hey, where are people going to take their photo that they put on Instagram? I was like,
Jesus.
oh, the skyline of Chicago.
Yeah,
How about
right,
that?
right.
Does that work for you, bud?
Yeah.
We were really fortunate in that way, but then we were talking about doing version 2 in would have been March 2020. Thank God we backed away when we did, but we were thinking about doing it at the Chicago Cultural Center, just like a beautiful downtown Chicago space with like, you know, again, like in a different time of year, but it was like, yeah, just you don't need to put signs up or anything crazy. You can just take a picture of the space that we're in too, and it's really remarkable. So
I don't know. I'd rather do like a Hello Kitty beer fest where it's like giant, oversized Hello Kitties that you can take pictures of.
Grammable moments.
Yeah, grammable moments is kind of what I'm thinking.
what's going to get you that engagement on the gram, dog?
Right.
Why we came.
I mean, exactly. I do remember you we were talking about Oxbow earlier. Love them, love the people. They have their Pills Fest, right? I forget what it's what
Pills and Love.
Pills and Love, yeah. And you, I think, took like a mashup of all these photos of people who had posted from Pills and Love, and it was literally the same post. It was the glass with the water, like extended out, like just a picture of like their arm holding this glass with this, you know, kind of rocky Maine beach in the background.
The funniest part to me is like they
amazing.
were all pouring the same exact beer style too, so that's why it like made it even more homogenous.
Right.
It's like, well, you know, what are you gonna do?
It was it's one of my favorite Instagram posts, I think, of all time. So kudos to you.
Yeah, you got to follow
for that.
the stories for that reason. It's where
True.
the good stuff hangs out sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Are we going to see? So you think 2023? You're back at it with the fest then? Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. You know, everything's kind of up in the air. It's dependent on a lot of factors. I mean,
Sure, but
yeah,
do you think that's how like it's going to be?
yeah.
Not just for you, but for everyone. Is 2023 going to be like 2019?
I don't know about that, but I think what's going to be impactful, what the breweries that are, the festivals that are going to be exciting for folks and participants alike are the invitationals, or just the things like Great Taste where they have kind of a history and know what they're doing and how to support the folks that are there pouring, because that's a huge part of it too, because at the end of the day it's a lot of people coming there to work, right? And so you got to have setups that at least make it enjoyable or make it worth their while, because you know, you ever been to a bar or whatever where the people don't like that they're there, or a festival and they're kind of going through the motions? That's not a good experience for anybody. So I think it's kind of beneficial for all if the festival's the people running it are gonna do right by the people pouring there as well.
I'm very interested to see if it's just kind of goes back to exactly where it was.
I don't
in
think
my mind.
I don't think it will. I don't think it'll get back to 2019 levels.
And what do you think? Is it because people you think have maybe learned, and is it like a work? And if so, what have they learned? I guess.
So, I mean, you know, I think that part of it might be that the breweries have kind of taken over as the people hosting these events. I mean, the Great Taste
Kudos to you.
Yep, thank you. Yeah, definitely me. I am the reason for that, for sure. I mean, the Great Taste is kind of an anomaly in that.
That was a joke.
I know. It was funny as hell, man. I
Yeah,
appreciate
it was good.
The Great Taste is kind of an anomaly in that, like, there's not a lot of breweries, or, you know, that isn't put on by a brewery. But I think most of the other, like, let's say top 10, top 20 beer fests in America right now are put on by breweries,
Yeah.
you know, whereas that probably wasn't, I don't think that was as prevalent back in the day, because it was more of just like, hey, we're gonna go taste a bunch of different stuff that's available locally.
Well, right,
So-
and I think also too, like the breweries putting them on if they care about it, whatever. They're probably not looking at it necessarily as a moneymaker, right? They're looking to break even. It can help their brand, whereas a third party producer, they're looking to make that money. And then right now, like the margins aren't there to make a lot of money on festivals. So I think just the financials of it make it less so that we're going to see way fewer, these kinds of festivals going forward, just because the money isn't really there to be made. I mean, everyone's having to charge more. The cost of making beers up and all this stuff. So is someone going to pay $100 to go to a festival that there's really no discernible difference between another festival where it's just go there, get a plastic cup, get some random beers? There's no kind of thought into what goes into it. Probably not.
It's interesting that you would say that, because that's, I think a lot of what I think the sameness of them can also be like, oh, it's the same rare stuff. It's like, oh, now these are the new breweries who are coveted by this section of people based on, this Untapped score or something like that, or, the new news. And it just felt like, okay, like the names have changed, but like it seems just like a retread. And what would excite me personally, what I would love to see is like smaller fests. Like I would love to see, for example, like someone like Inez was, or a Phase 3, or a Hopewell, or for that matter, like a Beer Temple, like anyone like that, a small one where it's like, we're just going to have a day where we have like 20, maybe like focused or even hyper focused beers, or maybe 15, or it doesn't even need to be that many, but this is the thought behind it. Like, this is what we're trying to see if you will like, and that isn't hype from around the country. It's like, this farmhouse ale thing that you went to, Mike, or this Origin Fest sound kind of cool from Final Four. Like, I like the idea of it being more focused, and I would like to see it go in that direction. Like, it doesn't need to even be completist by any means. It can just be like, here are, saisons from all over the country, and it can be, some of them can be the Tank 7 style. Like, let's just see what is the state of saison right now. It doesn't need to be like, these are the most rustic, authentic places that never use English words in their beer names. Like, here is that fest. Like,
I'm muted. That's also like, it's really a difficult needle to thread, though.
sure,
Right, and so
I'm just
much.
telling you. Yeah, I just said what I would like to see.
So much of
Yeah.
so much of festival culture is like, the brewer's here, and that's why you're coming, like, to meet these
I don't
pseudo
mean,
celebrity
that's great,
style people.
but who cares?
I mean, well, but would you? I mean, you're
That's not
obviously
true. Not who cares.
Not directly you, but the royal you, the general you. Would you
Fade
go to a
master.
festival? It's just like, hey, it's beers you'll probably like from all over the place, but like, it's just the same people you've already met pouring it from a bottle. Is that as attractive as like? Well, Eric's gonna be there, and he's gonna like have his cool tattoos and his long hair and his broken hand, and he'll pour it for you and tell you all about Phase 3. Like,
I mean, I think that would be a cool. It would certainly be cool.
Yeah.
But I would be like, let's say if there's 15 beers, if there was like, oh, and the guy from Phase 3 is actually here. That's cool. Like,
Right,
that would be awesome. Like, but he's like it's not like, oh, you have to come and you have to send someone. It's like, I just
Well, I mean, this
pour
is-
the beers
This
and
is kind of the other
yeah.
side of that discussion about why is every beer now an IPA, where interesting festivals are inherently niche, and you have to very specifically find people to come to them, right? Like, it's not an IPA festival is the dumbest, or it's what every festival is. But if it's going to be like here's the state of Saison. It's like, we'll get 42 people to show up. And you just
Sure.
have to be aware that, like, all right, we're going to get that many people, and that's what this is for, and it's for those people. But I mean, the idyllic festival of, like, we're gonna go to a fucking we're gonna, like, rent out a water park and we're gonna give you a steak dinner, and it's like, that's
On your way down, you're going to be handed a beer midway through the water slide.
They did give out Pivo pills on the lazy river, so beat that.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was nice.
I wanna
No,
be
that's
there for
super cool. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that isn't cool, but that's also what's considered the best. And that also wasn't the festival goers who got that. I want to make that very clear.
That's
Right.
for sure.
It wasn't the festival goers who got
Not
that.
you plebes on the outside.
Exactly. I mean, it was for the aristocracy.
when we went to this,
aristocracy.
that's awesome. When we went to this festival in Pittsburgh, like, all I knew was our experience, and I was like, it was a great run festival. Like, everything,
Yeah.
everything was there when we needed it to be there. They had enough ice. Like, all of our beers actually poured well, which is
They were actually
always
there.
Yeah,
Your beers showed up.
it showed
on
up.
time.
Well, we drove them there.
Oh, well, that helps.
But, like, all we see is the other side of that, and, like, then I'm like, there are a lot of people there, and the people that talked to us were nice, and they, like, seemed to be enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
But from someone just pouring at a random festival,
What was
like,
the festival?
It was Pittsburgh Mixed Culture.
I didn't get that invite.
Well, you didn't trick someone from Pittsburgh into volunteering to brew your beer for a year and a half, and then he moved back to Pittsburgh and told them they shouldn't invite you. So
No, that sounds
you
cool.
gotta
but
play a
that-
deeper game.
But I was just kind of asking because you kind of buried the lead there. That's like a specific kind of fest, right? And
Right.
you had a good time and people were enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
Sounds like a cool thing. Yeah.
Or like almost like glorified events I'd like to see. Like, remember South of 80 at the Green Lady? Like, that was like a really cool fest.
hyper focused. Like,
Yeah.
I 100% agree.
And it
with
doesn't
you
need to
there.
be focused stylistically. It
Right,
can be
right,
focused
right.
a different way.
Shout out to South of 80, where the real Illinois
Yeah.
residents live.
But this is like part of that. Like, why is, like, Chicago Craft Beer Week not a thing anymore? Is because every week is what Chicago Craft Beer Week used to be. Like, you can go to a bar.
But I would be more interested in Chicago Craft Beer Week if there was more of that approach of, like, I mean, there is things like Saisonathon, which I know, like, I think ABV Chicago puts on, like, things that kind of focus the noise, right? Because, you know, like the whole, like you said, the saying is every day in Chicago is Chicago Beer Week or whatever. Well, let's focus some of that kind of noise and filter it and get people excited about, there's different kind of ways to present beer. I think there's a lot out there that people can do. It takes a lot of effort and care. No one's saying that's not the case, but I agree with you, Chris. I think that'd be really cool to see that kind of be the shift going forward if festivals come back. I mean, I haven't gone to a festival personally that I wasn't working in a long time.
Same.
But
I never have.
Yeah. I was telling Serge, I don't think I ever have gone to a beer
I went to the
festival
Great
that
Taste
wasn't
last
working.
year. That was the first time for me,
Yeah.
and it was worth it. Chris, put on a mild fest, bud.
We're there's talks of doing. We're doing a Phantom Fest.
Get both
Yeah,
casks
I
of
don't know.
mild you can get
Yeah,
locally.
it's true.
Call it Mild Fest.
We're working on something. I don't know if it's going to be Mild Fest, but it might be something like that. Just an event where we're just going to have to do something for fun. I don't know if we'll call it fest or not, but just something like
It's
that.
going to be a mild meme step and repeat that people can, like, put themselves into.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can.
No, it's
it'll
going to be.
it'll be like like a 5K. Like at the end of the fest, you get like a low ABV or no ABV beer.
No, it's you get to bring. It's going to be. I'm going to take the best
Sponsored
of what
by
everything
Michelob.
is.
You got to have sponsors, as we were talking
It's going to be
about.
the best of craft beer. So I'm going to take the concept of the best fest, which is Firestone Walker Fest, and then the best of craft beer, which is like Untapped and Ratings. So then it's going to be like you can bring 2 beers only. One has to be an adjunct, like a pastry stout or an adjunct stout, and the other one has to be. It'll probably be like a game time decision because I'll have to see what's like in the zeitgeist, but it'll be like a Polish Pils or like something like
West
that.
Coast pills.
So you
Yeah, or
you're
like a
inventing
Czech
the
dark
bottle
lager.
share.
And then everyone has to like rate them. So you rate your pastry stout from 95 to 100. So if it sucks, it's 95, and if it's great, it's 100. And then you have to also then do the same for your Czech dark lager, but you have to rate it 1 through 5, and then you see who has the greatest combined total, and then who wins. Like, that's what I would like to see personally.
I think you should.
I don't know. I just thought of that right then. So maybe it won't. I'll have to
What if you rate it 1 through? Everything gets rated 1 through 5, then you multiply it by ABV.
Ooh.
That's a good one too.
And then see who wins.
Yeah, and IBUs.
Yeah, that is. So don't give me ideas, because I will do something where you somehow
divide it by ABV.
You torture it. Yes.
Because that makes ABV
Well, that'd be
less.
That'd be a good event. We're trolling and making a bad event.
That'd be awesome.
I mean, never mind. We're making
I'm
a great
actually
event.
trying
Are
to
we
make this
talking
work,
about
okay?
the second annual Illinois Craft Beer Award?
Yeah, man. The
second annual
39th
39th
annual second. Yeah, the second 39th annual. Yeah.
The
I think that's
Choose
what we're
Your Own
thinking of.
Adventure of award festivals. Mm-hmm. Whatever you want, you can have it.
Yeah. So I'd like to see that. That makes me excited for Beer Fest. I want to see they don't have. I don't want the big fest. I want, I think, these little fests.
Focus specific.
Yeah.
And like, there's a point to them other than just like come and give us $48 to have 9 3-ounce samples.
Right.
Right.
Right. And it can be like as whatever, like you have a high octane beer fest. Like I'm cool with that, but like put some parameters around it. Like
Right.
you can't bring a stout, or not everyone can bring a stout or something like that.
Right. You're more of a creator driven fest than like a
Just like what's out there, which also might be hard because I think the first or second or third beer fest I ever went to was a high octane beer fest. And just looking back, because the beers are on the shirt, I bought the shirt, and there was like crazy, like strong beers that were just bizarre styles back then. I don't remember if they were any good or not.
What year was it?
1992. How old are you?
No, it wasn't 92. I think it was probably 90.
3.
I think it was probably like 2000, 99.
Okay.
2000.
I'm trying to think of what kind of styles you would have seen then. You said high ABV styles?
Yeah, so there was a lot.
You're also like in the dogfish realm, right? Where they're just making
Yeah, like Raison de Extra was there. I think
14%.
there was like something from like
raisin
Moylan's
strong ale.
there. There was
Probably Hop and Frog.
Hop and Frog might have been there. I can pull up the shirt and maybe I'll make the back of the shirt will be the
show notes?
the show notes, because you can see all the beers.
We need
there.
this. Post this to the Instagram.
And it was
We
like
need
the
to see this.
6th or 7th annual version of this
You
fest.
got that
like
dead
on
stock fest shirt? We need to post that
Yeah.
on eBay.
On Depop.
on Depop.
Split Thy Skull. That's what it was called. That was the name of the fest. And it was in the
Split
basement.
Thy Skull.
It was in
because Skull Splitter was like the
Got
strongest
some
beer in the world.
Scotch
at the
ales
time.
going on, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it was in this basement bar that just like closed one day and just had a whole bunch of like
It's very
strong beers.
Mike Miller of them.
It was very Mike Miller-esque. And it was cool. I liked it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was also like a blues fest that was also, it was called it's cool.
There's many fests going on.
Yeah, that was in Delaware. There was like cool blues and microbrews. I don't know. But that one was a legit blues fest. That might be hard to pull off.
When I was in Pittsburgh, I think they were somewhat ironically calling everything, the brewery that we collaborate with, calling everything microbrews.
Nice.
And I think they were like, it was half joking, like, but I think it's just kind of like coming back around. We're gonna call things microbrews.
You know what? You know what my favorite microbrew?
Sammy Ads.
That's called Lil Buddy.
That's the microest of all.
It's my
Microest of
favorite
all the
microbrew.
brews.
Lil Buddy.
We're in the plug section now.
Hey, folks.
I thought of two different things you were going to say. Neither of them were that. I thought Mike. We have Mike here. There's microphone, but
Wait, you're saying
You want a
are
little
you
buddy.
saying I'm small? Is that the joke?
My name's Mike.
I'm almost 5'6".
I'm 5 foot, almost 5'6".
Depending on the shoes. Anyway, guys, so any more on
Any moron?
festivals? Just me. Anything else you'd like to say about?
I'm the one with brain damage.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to talk about? Festivals, things you'd like to see, things you didn't enjoy at festivals, specific festivals you want to like really rib at right now because we're at, we're deep in this
I went to
podcast. No one's
FOFA. I
listening.
went to
Get it
Phil
out there.
Phil Hartman. Phil Harm.
All right, guys.
Oh my gosh.
And
Hill
what a good time we've had together. I
yeah.
think we should probably have
Hill
this podcast.
Farmstead's Festival of Farmhouse Ales.
Yeah,
Bit of a tongue
where
twister.
Phil Hartman got murdered.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's really a festival. It's like a reenactment, like a Civil War reenactment,
For the murder.
but for the murder of Phil Hartman, and the murder-suicide.
The bits have merged with the content.
But anyway, that was a really good one, and not just because of the reenactment. It was, it was nice. It was also like, I mean, you're there, on the hills of
Right.
Hill Farmstead.
You're on
in
Hills
the
Hill.
farm.
You're
Yeah,
on Hills Hill.
beautiful
You're
weather.
Vibing. You're vibing.
You're vibing.
You're digging on some nice little lightly tart saisons.
Yeah.
Maybe,
And they did have a
brought
lot of
Edward,
like
maybe.
Tommy Arthur was there, and Vinny Solerzo, and
all the stars.
all the stars.
stars.
All the
Dear
stars were
Alex.
there. But I don't think that
It's like the Met Gala, but for beer.
kind of. But it didn't.
Just the
That's a
fucking
good way to
beer
put it.
Nerds.
The people being there was kind of cool, but it didn't really. I mean, it was cool, but I don't think it added too much
Right.
to
You
it.
never
The
wanna
fact that
meet
they
your
were the
heroes,
ones
right?
pouring. Like,
Yeah.
I don't really care. I don't really want to talk to Vinny Soler. I don't.
Have you been since they
I
added
don't
that
talk to
tap room area? They have that, or like they have like a new addition. I mean, I went there recently, but I hadn't been there probably 6 years prior. But they have like a little tap room now at Hill Farm.
Yes, I have been to that tap room. I don't know if it was there when I went there, but that was nice. Obviously, if you live in such amazing,
Yeah, so-
and I'm thinking of it because you
To run a good
Brought
festival,
a-
be Hill
yeah.
Farmstead
right.
or die.
Yeah,
Right.
sure.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So I like that one. I would put that up there with a really solid fest. You know what else I would say? I've had some really good times. I've had a couple good times that were really good times at Dark Lord Day as well, which is so far on the other
It's kind
scale.
of crazy we didn't talk about it at all on like the.
That's like the OG brewery
Did they have it
run
last
beer
year?
fest. No, I think they're like done with it.
I don't think
I
they're doing
think.
anything at the brewery anymore. There's
Yeah,
no tap room. No.
but
I've had good times there too.
like talk about. I mean, someone was like stabbed there one year, like legit stabbed.
I watched someone drop a bottle of Dark Lord on the road, and someone else licked the Dark Lord out of the pavement on the ground, and with the shards of glass in there as well. And that was what I saw at my first ever beer festival. And I don't know why I still work in this industry, like almost 12 years later, but I do for some reason.
I saw somebody. I saw someone get robbed or attempted robbery twice. One from
Same
a passed out
person?
person. No, different years. I saw somebody just passed out on the knobbiest, chunkiest gravel. Like, it's not even gravel. It was like a stone field that they set out for the concert, that just probably for drainage reasons. And there was sun beating down on this guy who was just passed out in the middle of these stones. And he was so close to the speakers, which were ear-shatteringly large, like loud rather. He was right there, just full day. I mean, I can't think of like, it was the worst of everything. The sun baking you, just like frying him. Intense death metal being played at 1,000,000 decibels, and you are on jagged rocks on your back, just sleeping. Nobody within like 30 feet of him, just like a wide berth for this dude. I saw that there. That was insane. But I've also had like I think maybe my best or up there, like top 3 best festival experiences ever was at Dark Lord Day, and it was when they used to have like these like little tables set out outside of it. It was before it became super official, and there'd be people who would just like bring rare bottles and like set them on a table, and that kind of like was like, okay, I'm setting this down, and now I'm just going to try whatever else is on there, and you would just like talk to people from all over the country who had brought this, and it was really, really cool.
This is 92 or 93?
Yeah, right. It was 89. It was
Prior. Okay.
yeah, it was like Dark Lord was going to be
Before
for the
Three
first
Floyds
time for like
existed.
8 years. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you used to go into this parking lot in Munster.
It was. I think it was year 1 of the golden ticket. It was the first year that it wasn't. It was still just a line, because that beer fest started as a line, which I think a lot of people don't realize. It was just people, which is also awesome. Like to think that all this stuff started from people just passing time, being like, we all have something in common. We've come from all over the place waiting for this beer. Why don't we just like bring cool beers and share them and make it into a thing? Because that's what Dark Lord Day was for a while. Like you had to get there super early to make sure there was some left. You know, the line didn't get too long and they didn't run out. So you would be there all darn day, and you would just like do these like little bottle share setups and stuff like that, which is, I think, kind of neat. Like this organic thing that was like, in a way, it sucked because you're just sitting in line all day, but they made it kind of this fun thing that probably spawned all these brewery run beer fests. Because are they the first? Like, did anyone do it before Dark Lord Day?
I don't know.
But
Yeah.
it started as a beer release.
Yeah, but
Or-
it became a fest, though,
Sure.
right?
Sure. I mean, yeah, it did. It evolved into that for sure.
The
but-
brewery run fest, does anything predate Dark Lord Day? That's a good question. We're also out of time, but
I mean,
and
Probably
I
not
also
at that scale,
lied to my
that's
wife
for sure.
because I did not leave halfway through.
well, we'll just have to record another 2.5 hours of podcast.
Good call.
Part 2 is only on the Patreon.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, if anyone out there knows, was there a fest prior to?
A brewery
For
run
sure.
Lord
For
fest,
sure.
but
There had to have been. I'm sure we're just ignorant and don't know.
Tweet us at Beer Temple Podcast, hashtag which fest is best.
Which fest is
and
best?
CC me, Hot Take Jake.
Yeah.
And we'll read the comments and we'll read them on the next episode.
Skype it to my inbox. You know. We out? We done?
I think we're done.
Is there
You guys-
anything that we want to promote before next week or before
for next week?
or yeah, before the next show, or that you want to
When
anything
does
you
this
want to
come
promote?
out? When are we actually going to get this out? If you're listening on Thursday
Tuesday.
morning,
I'll get it out tomorrow.
that's
Tomorrow's
Wednesday,
Wednesday, bud.
if you're listening on the day this came out, we'll be raising some money for Sacred Agave at Beer Temple. They'll have Maestro on tap, and they'll also have the mezcal made from the same agave we used in Maestro. It's a shot in a beer, and the proceeds go to Sacred Agave, which works in mezcal growing regions to support anything they need, libraries, water, whatever.
And Lou Bank of
Lou Bank.
the founder of Sacred will be there, who knows
A lot about
I think more about mezcal than I think this is probably accurate. I think he knows more about mezcal than
Than any
everyone
gringo.
I've ever talked to put together.
yeah, the most knowing gringo.
And I think I mean that literally. So, I mean,
Yeah.
and I probably talk to more people than most of you guys out there about that. So,
I'll be there
he knows
too.
a lot.
Yeah, he knows a lot.
And he's a nice, very nice guy.
Very, very personable.
So, and for every beer and mezcal combo, we're donating $3 to
Sacred.
the Sacred. So there you go. All right. So now when you listen to it, you'll be like, "Oh man, that was yesterday."
Well, it's also running it like if it doesn't all sell out that day.
Yes, that's the first day
It's running
of
until
it.
the keg runs out.
It's a very good point. So if you miss it, you can still come. You can still try it. You can still
Find out if it's still
donate.
on. If it's not on, buy another beer. That goes to the Chris Quinn Fund.
That goes to the Chris Quinn Fund. That's right. That's right. That gets my my medical
Fix
bills.
Chris's brain.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway, you guys have anything else that's coming up
Yeah.
for the TV?
I just want to give a shout out to friendships that come of come out of going to beer fest. That's the best part of doing any travel beer fest, in my opinion, is seeing friends and building lifelong relationships out of that. So even though there's some, I would say, negative elements to it, there's also some of the best bits of life that can come from that as well. So shout out to friendship.
Eh,
I liked
overrated.
I liked it a lot.
Friendship's overrated, I think.
I got nothing to add.
Joking.
Over
That was
here.
beautiful. Thank you.
Friendship is overrated.
Yeah.
Chris, thank you for mentioning that.
I'm glad somebody
someone finally said it.
Exactly. Hey, you know what? We're all
thank
thinking
you.
it.
Just wanted to thank y'all for having me on. Nothing to report here, but for the folks at home who watch TV, I gotta recommend The Rehearsal
Seinfeld. Oh,
on
Seinfeld.
HBO and Seinfeld.
Oh, The Rehearsal.
Folks, maybe it's just me, but for me, Seinfeld's pretty good.
And that's one to take. I don't even know.
Remember this is what we said. To never be heard, seen from again. Remember this is what we wanted. Remember this is what we said. To never be heard, seen from again.